I should have been here. They're going to call us marauders, terrorists, or worse. I'm sorry. I promised you I'd never get back in one of those damn machines again. If you're looking down, I hope you understand. We left everything behind. Hell, getting here was just the beginning. You said it would be tough to start over, but I didn't listen. You said more would follow. I thought they'd leave us alone. I was wrong. But there's no turning back. This is our land. This is our land. And I will fight for it.
The fleet's counting on you!
I don't know if there's any honor left on the frontier. I don't know if there ever was. I just know I'm gonna make them pay.
This is Bodyhammer. I've got Singe on the line here. We are going to give our impressions and our thoughts on the Titanfall 2 teaser trailer that was just released on the internet a day or two ago. What we're kind of expecting and what we're hoping for the game's release sometime in the next 12 months. Singe, I think that you're probably looking forward to this even more than I am. Do you want to start off with your thoughts on the video?
Absolutely. The video is pretty short. Not a whole lot there. It's more story focused, it seems like. But the most important thing that we see is that the mechs are going to now have swords. So I guess that's the thing I'm most excited about. It looks like they're going to expand the plot. The plot of the first Titanfall was really just kind of there to drive the player versus player style of story mode forward. Honestly, I can say that I really didn't grasp exactly what was going on, so there was some presentation issues there. But it looks like they're really trying to up their game with that. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on the campaign part. It was clearly tacked on, but I was okay with it because honestly I went into the whole game looking for nothing but a great multiplayer experience, and I definitely got that. You know, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about how the game got really repetitive very quickly. I, for one, am one of those people who can still go back and have a lot of fun with it now. It's one of those games where I don't feel compelled to play it very frequently, but every time I do, it's like something completely new and fresh, which says a lot for the original design of the multiplayer side of the game, or just the game in general, the way it's played in general. It's not like any FPS I've played before it, and I think that now that we've got the foundation of the first game made, and the second one is just going to be just take what they have already and just add more content to it, and it'll be perfect. That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I don't really think they could screw that up if they tried.
No, I think I could go into a lot of detail as far as how I feel about Titanfall's multiplayer and how it's really kind of leagues above a lot of other games. But I'll just say that if there's one thing special about Titanfall, the engagements and the matches themselves do not play out the same every match. There's a lot of options. Most of the weapons are really balanced, so I really like that. I think, we've discussed this at length before. I think that the lack of customization in the game really kind of hurt it a bit. There wasn't a whole lot to unlock, So moving forward, I just hope that they add more stuff that kind of affects the game in a cosmetic way and gives players a chance to express themselves, like maybe decals on the Titans and things like that, without really messing with the balance of the game. And as far as the story goes, I think a story mode would be excellent. I hope they kind of retain the idea that there's sort of PvP happening within the story context, but maybe add some water cooler moments and things that make like games like Call of Duty really great, Halo campaigns really great. So that's just kind of where I'm at. And swords, of course.
Right. I think obviously they really wanted to make a big point that there are going to be swords available to your mech now. And that was really the focus of the teaser trailer, and that's going to be fantastic, because I honestly, as much as I like riding around the mechs and firing rockets at each other and everything like that, it wasn't as tight a gameplay as something like MechWarrior would be as far as the ballistics go. But the melee part was a lot of fun, even though we're just literally sitting there punching each other. It was still a lot of fun.
I mean, you could just imagine like driving.
Expanding upon that part.
Yeah, absolutely. You could just imagine, like, they had like the Titan kills where you could rip the pilot from the cockpit, which was so cool. And I could just imagine like a huge Buster sword just being thrust into a Titan's chest, or there's so much that could happen there with, and also just like block mechanics with the swords and just like Titan.
Oh yeah.
What kind of Titan types will we have? Will we have Titans that are more suited for the sword combat, speedier? Maybe they'll have shields. Who knows? There's so many ways they could go.
What about a Titan where you go to block and either you have a shield or here's something really cool that I just thought about. You go to block and like your arm kind of unfolds and expands into a shield that kind of just like, blooms out of your arm, like armor plates kind of blooming out of your arm. Wouldn't that be freaking awesome?
Serious nerd promo happening right now.
Right, yeah. I'm imagining like melee kills with the sword, like you impale the mech through the middle or something like that, and you end up pulling it out with like a pilot on the end of it, like a freaking cocktail wiener or something, or a toothpick. Like
absolutely, dude.
There's so many things you can do with this, and I'm really excited to see what they do. Another thing I noticed with the video, the short 39 seconds or whatever we have, or 44 or whatever it is, the environment that they're in, it's not very indicative of what we're going to probably see in the final game. We can't go by 40 seconds of video here, but it looks sort of foresty and jungly, Whereas
maybe
the first game had a lot of industrial like buildings and stuff like that. They did have a couple of outdoor areas, but there wasn't a lot,
Well, we may actually see environments like that, because you remember the Expedition map pack had the more jungle style environments, and I hope that we do. And that's another thing that was great about the first Titanfall was the diverse environments. You did have a lot of like I guess you'd say like industrial cityscape type stuff, but you also had like that one map where you were kind of like in some sort of tropical environment.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It looks almost like indoor or something from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, you had a lot of trees that you could jump off of and hang on, and go stealth and like jump off and like jump kick a dude in the face or something, which was a lot of fun. And they also had that one map with all the bones and all the dragons were sort of flying around. That was a really, really, really neat map. So
that was definitely my favorite. I admittedly did not play a lot of the DLC. But I did like the outdoor maps we did have. I did like a lot, especially that one. It was in the desert with the big flying like pterodactyl dragon things and stuff like that. That was really cool. It would be. I mean, obviously, clearly by the teaser video, we're gonna see some more outdoor environments. And I'm really excited about that. As much fun as the game was gameplay wise, all the original maps was nothing but like the same industrial buildings and little. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop got kind of boring after a while.
Sure, and a lot of the combat, if there was anything that kind of was, a mainstay about the gameplay as far as like the player versus player pilot engagements there was a lot of rooftop camping, but that also gave the DMR weapons and the sniper rifles like a chance to both be effective and as a useful counter as well. Looks like we're going to be getting some more information coming in on June 12th. That's going to be really exciting for me. I'm super excited about Titanfall.
The E3 play event, right?
Absolutely. And I'm glad it's coming to PS4, and I really think that that's going to elevate this game, and as far as like its community and the people who are exposed to it. So that's a really exciting prospect as well.
Right. Have you heard the rumors that we may be looking at cross-platform play? We're talking Xbox to PS4 possibly.
This is the first I've heard, but I mean that would be extremely amazing and would open the door for so much community interaction.
Yeah, I saw some people mentioning on Reddit in the PS4 subreddit, which I am a member of and peruse quite frequently. Someone said something about, I don't think it was possibly a rumor that it could happen, but people were saying how absolutely amazing that would be if they were to announce that, how incredible the game would be and how much more support it would get. And then, of course, you had the people who are detractors. Well, I don't know so much detractor, but just kind of clueless. Like one person mentioned, what good would this do anyone? And my mind was just blown. Like, what are you talking about? Do you not have a single friend that has a console that you don't have, and vice versa? You know,
there's nothing
never run
bad
into
that
that scenario
come from doubling your community. Nothing bad could come from that. Like the only good
Right.
would come from doubling your community. I do wonder how the cross-platform. I guess my only issue or my only thought would, how would the chat system work, or would they maybe build in their own type of chat system, like their own game chat, to where you could chat with different people, from the different consoles?
If it was in game, then obviously it'd be simple. But
Sure.
if you're going to do a party system, then therein lies the challenge, obviously. But I mean, if you look
Absolutely.
at it like, I mean, I don't know. I was going to use Paragon as a recent example, but they have PS4 and PC players playing together, but they don't actually communicate. There's no in-game voice chat, not that I know of, right? Okay, so
Not that I
I
found.
was going to use that example, but that doesn't count. I kind of shot that one down myself, but yeah, it would be nice. That would be absolutely revolutionary if they were to do that. I can't think of any other game that not only was cross-platform, but you could communicate verbally between the two.
It'll be a must, and if they pull this off, I mean, we're kind of going off on a rumor here. However,
Right.
Titanfall 2 with cross-platform play, with the ability to communicate between the two consoles, would revolutionize the shooter in a very big way.
Yeah.
And I think it would set a
Absolutely.
precedent. We've seen it with Final Fantasy 14, doing cross-play between even, previous gen and next gen. So it's out there. Somebody's got to do it, and it's been a very popular feature. And also for me, it's nice to be able to sort of to tackle both. And I also wonder how the progress would be if you could transfer progress between, for those that like to have multiple copies. I'm kind of a nerd in that way. Like if there's a cross-platform game, I'll sometimes buy it from multiple platforms so that I can access it from different places in my home. Which is crazy, but if I love a game enough, I'll actually do that. But that's sort of a side note, I guess.
Right. No, and you're not alone. I mean, as you're well aware, I own Black Ops 3 for PC and PS4. I've owned Titanfall for Xbox One and PC. Same thing for Battlefield 4. So it's not outside of the realm of possibilities. It would be nice to be able to play either. What if you and this is kind of a grim scenario, but let's say you're a kid of a divorced family, and your mom has your Xbox and your dad got your PS4. You could still play the same game at either house, and not have to reset your progression between between trips.
Absolutely, you have everything in the cloud. You just grab the information, kind of like the way Destiny is handled.
Right.
If you come over to my house here in Denham Springs,
Oh, Another good one that does that is GTA 5. Absolutely seamless. If I go and play it on PC right now, I get online, my character is exactly the same. I'm staying in the same exact place. I've got all the same cash. I go to PS4, same thing. I just pick it up right where I left off.
That would be
It's
great.
Now, that being said, I don't know if it's actually, because I had to recopy from one system to the other recently, but I haven't had to do it again since I own GTA 5 on PC and PS4. I've played on both, but I've never really noticed a difference between the two. I have the same guy, same vehicle, same home, same amount of money. I don't know. Are they synchronized or not? I don't know. I think they are. That would be incredible to see something like that. But more important than that, and this is the big elephant in the room, everyone that you see talking about anything Titanfall, everyone has got the same exact opinion, besides, you know, yourself and myself. How do you feel about them releasing DLC and splitting their multiplayer community? Because that is always what happens to, and in certain people's opinion, that is what always happens when multiplayer games put out DLC. They split the community. There's already a ton of people talking about it, about how much it screwed the first game. What are your thoughts on that for the second game?
I have a somewhat unpopular opinion when it comes to DLC. I'm sort of an island of my own in that I actually like DLC.
Paid though? Paid?
Yes, I don't mind if I enjoy a game and I want to spend time on a game. I want to see it grow and I want to get new maps, and I understand that if that's what I want, I'm going to need to pay for that. Somebody's got to be on staff to do that stuff, you know. So now, however, there is oppressive DLC. It's all in the way that they handle it, right? There needs to be playlists that are separated from it. That way you can choose to play in a playlist, but yet not segregated. What I mean by that is let the matchmaking do the work for the community. Don't pigeonhole it into a playlist that only has the maps. There should be an available playlist to where you can play only those maps, but the matchmaking does the work for you for the players that don't have the maps, right? And likewise, and vice versa.
E.g. Black Ops 3.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with Black Ops 3, but I've heard that that's how they handle it, and I feel like that's an excellent way. So it's all in the way that they handle it. If it comes out and it just seems like the maps were already created somewhere, there's game footage of it, and it's released, and it just looks like they held it back, like this day one DLC type stuff, I'm not really down with that because, again, I want to pay for new things that people have been working on, right? And not only, it's not just about the moral perspective either. What it has to do is when they make new maps, like if you look at Battlefield, for example, Battlefield 4, every time they released an expansion, whether you liked the direction they were taking the game for those maps or whatever, they always added new gameplay. They always changed the game. Each DLC had a specific feeling, had a specific weapon set. They added new things to the game, and you can tell that, yeah, they had this planned in advance, but they didn't have it. They weren't holding it back, right, because you could see the game advancing. So DLCs, we got to see the game advance with a DLC, not just cheap maps, you know what I'm saying? And it has to be done in a way that doesn't segregate the community, and we know it's possible.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the better example for that would be Battlefield 3. If you remember, we had a close quarters DLC that was literally like no other Battlefield maps ever before. It was like,
I would totally agree. Good point.
It was like Call of Duty. It was like Call of Duty sized Battlefield maps. And then we had what else was in there? There was the close quarters. There was the back to parking thing. Yes,
back to parking was back to parking was the best expansion they've ever had.
That's exactly the way I feel. It really was, and everyone agrees with you. It was fantastic. It was amazing. Those were old maps. Sure, we're remaking old maps, but they were classics. If you go back and look at Battlefield 2 now online on PC, people are still playing those same maps on Battlefield 2 where they originally came from. Of course we want to play.
When you had the new destruction. It wasn't as expansive as other stuff, but it was there, you know. And you had all the new weapons, all the new Frostbite 3 engine, and it was just absolutely wonderful. It was a great idea. It was a great move on their part. But yeah, you're right. Battlefield 3 was an awesome game in terms of how it handled the expansions, because each season of the DLC really changed the game. Like you said, close quarters. We had tighter maps. It was a great change of pace. And then not long after, we had Armor Kill, which really expanded the size of the maps and made it more about vehicle play, which was great because they were constantly kind of changing and evolving the game. And I think that, again, looking at Titanfall 2 DLC, how they handle it is really going to be how it's received, right? It's done properly and with respect to the community by not segregating us. You know, I remember you had brought up a really good example. I think it was in Crisis 2. It was like they did the normal, like the old Halo Mythic map pack style. And I always go back to that because that was one of the first, like, where they just released DLC and then they had a segregated playlist, and it's like there's nobody playing it. You know what I mean? And I think it really kind of angered people. I mean, eventually people picked it up and, you know, took it seriously. But you know, if they go that route, it's not gonna end positive for them. You know?
Yeah, I agree with you because I mean, people. The sad part about it is the same people that are saying, you know, oh my God, Titanfall 1 was amazing, it was so revolutionary, are the same ones in the same breath say, and then they fucked it up. And then they screwed it up by segregating the community and not giving us enough unlockables, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and I said this a couple of days ago, if you remember. I think the reason why the game didn't have a lot content-wise, or could possibly have some sort of small bearing on it, was the fact that this was an exclusive for the Xbox, sort of. PC doesn't count, whatever. It was an exclusive for the Xbox. It was a launch title, if I remember correctly, and it was pretty much the game that was hyped for a year before the Xbox even came out. So Microsoft had to make this work, and with the kind of deadlines they had to make, I don't think that they were putting, you know, camo mech skins at the top of their priority list.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
I think if they're going to do the DLC for the second one, what they need to do is maybe approach it, and this is completely unheard of, but maybe do it like what Ubisoft did with Rainbow Six Siege. We have a season pass. You can buy it if you want to, or not. Guess what? You're still going to get the stuff for free anyway, even if you don't buy the season pass. What you won't get is a permanent XP bonus, and you will get the DLC, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks after everybody else, or the people who had season pass. So essentially, everyone's going to get all the same maps and same characters and new weapons. It's just the people who paid for the expansion or the season pass would get it like a week or two early. I think that's a great idea. No one's done it before them that I know of. I thought it was a great idea. In fact, I thought it was such a good idea, and I liked the game so much, I bought the season pass anyway, like immediately. If they come out with a game that's that good, with Titanfall, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't take that kind of approach.
Well, and the only thing is, though, is so it's not that I disagree with what you're saying. However, it could always go as far as how do you monetize the DLC, right? And there's different approaches, right? So the one that you're talking about is positive, and as long as they can monetize it enough to support their game, because you got to remember, Respawn's a relatively small company. They don't have the backing that, like, say, EA's got. You know what I mean?
They're with EA. Let me correct you on that. They're with
right.
EA.
I'm sorry. But you know, I mean, they were even trying to pull this thing off with some significant backing from Microsoft, and you know, I still kind of see them as a smaller team. You know, I mean, who works on the Call of Duty series with Infinity Ward. He's a good friend of mine. I grew up with him. Cliff knew him as well growing up. He was kind of offered a position over there. And, you know, when he went over to check things out, like, it wasn't the same environment. You know what I mean? And hopefully they've made some money off of Titanfall. But in a way, I kind of smile on them for being a smaller team. So what I hope is that if they do have to go with some form of monetizing the game to make DLC available for the overall community, without sort of dicking the people that pay for it as well, you know what I mean? I hope they don't go the route of Halo 5, you know, because let's face it, Warzone, it's interesting, but I'm not gonna say pay to win, but it's definitely pay for advantages. And I hope that they don't anything to me, and you know, without getting too much into my opinions on game balance and things like that, I felt like Titanfall 1 was a very balanced game. Like, I felt like any weapon I wanted to use, any Titan I wanted to use, it wasn't a struggle, you know. I never felt underpowered in situation. And I hope that they retain that balance. So anything that threatens that, I'm somewhat skeptical of. You know what I mean? So I hope that if they choose to go for a route that doesn't just traditionally monetize the content, I hope that it doesn't end up being like a microtransaction style thing, which I'm not totally against microtransactions. I guess what I mean is incentivizing microtransactions that affect gameplay. So that's my only concern as far as how do we make this DLC free? How do we please the general community? You know, when it comes to that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't agree with you that all the weapons were usable. I don't know. I could not make those DMRs work worth a crap, man. Or the sniper, you know, the more traditional sniper rifles. You know, like the game to me, just doesn't facilitate that kind of gameplay. Here's the good part about that. As you know, I don't appreciate snipers one little small bit, so that's fine with me. Although,
well, you do remember
really made use of them because I just couldn't do it, but some people obviously made use of them.
Well, you do remember that cat that we were playing that one day who was on hit with that shit. I mean, he was harassing us. But the thing was I wasn't like, it wasn't one of those situations, and this happens in a lot of modern shooters, where the snipers are very easy to use, and you're just getting popped around corners, you know, in these sort of close quarters sniper type of situations. Like in Titanfall, if you want to be a sniper, like the whole rooftop camping stuff, you got to work for it, and you got to move. You got to stick and move like a real sniper does. And so, yeah, it's not the easiest weapon to use, but I really think that when you look at sniper rifles as a weapon, and I mean, look at the way that, you know, DICE handles it. DICE, like, there's this whole complex, you know, thing that you have to do, you know, by judging distance and bullet drop and all this to be an effective sniper. And when I think that a sniper rifle should be that type of skill-based weapon. You know, you don't make it so hard to where no one does it, but, you know, you should feel like I got killed by a skilled player when someone takes your head off. And likewise, if you're the type of person who controls positions and helps out the team as a sniper, then it's very rewarding because you know that you did it and you served a role, you know, instead of it's just like this novelty thing where, oh, you know, I want to be the lead sniper, you know?
Right. Yeah. I definitely prefer the skill-based sniping, the stuff that, like, you know, you get sniped and you're like, wow, that actually took some effort over this, God help me, last 6 months of Destiny where I just pulled the trigger and got 2 kills, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything that we could possibly have any kind of concerns or hopes for in this game, and I know I'm definitely super excited for it, and I'm really, really excited for the reveal because I just want to see a release date. That's I know it's going to be great. I'll make the best of it, whether or not it may not be perfect, but no game really is. I freaking love the first one. I think this is a solid foundation for an awesome sequel, and I couldn't be any more excited.
Absolutely. Titanfall's one of my favorite games. I think it's a rare gem. I think there's really nothing else like it. I'm glad to see this coming to PS4, and just excited about those sword mechs. It's going to be a lot of fun.